Good morning, good evening. Sorry, I didn't see it change down to 0. I was too busy cleaning my glasses. Um, Welcome to this week's Fibrific Live Craft and Chat, where we craft and chat live. Hopefully, we have audio, video, all that good stuff happening, and all those things. So let me know in the chat if you can see, if you can hear. So I just opened up an email just this morning. Those of you that are interested in the upcoming Sunshine Beach retreat, um, and have been like umming and ahhing due to dates, I can give you our tentative date. I'm still not ready to release tickets yet, but if you know if you can make it, so it'll be the 21st to the 23rd of May. It will be incoming into the venue at 2 p.m. and first meal will be dinner. So keep that information in mind going forward. Nothing is 100% confirmed yet, but this is what we're aiming for. So if you can keep that in your diary and have a little look and see if those dates are available to you. I will be releasing those tickets as soon as I possibly can. For those of you that do a Fiberific retreat that we usually do up in the mountains at Stacey's at the Gap, we're going to be doing things slightly differently than that for this retreat. So please understand that there will be differences, and I'll also be merging how I do Stacey's a little differently down the track. Not this year, but down the track. Other housekeeping. Housekeeping is sorry. I got Abby's yelled out, it's 10 o'clock, and because I was sucked in watching a dog rescue video. Let's be honest, dog rescue videos pulling my heartstrings, so my eyes are a little like reacting to the dog rescue video. So what was that, Tim? He's like, Tim just yelled out, you were crying. Because my eyes reacted to the video. Anyway, so and I didn't get to see the end because it was 10 o'clock, so I don't know what's happened. I'm really hoping it's a positive end. Anyway, so other housekeeping is today is the first Thursday of the month, which means for those of you that can meet in person that are local to the Brisbane-ish area, we'll be meeting up at the Logan IKEA up in the food court. So we just head up there around sort of 6ish, go and grab our own dinners and all that sort of stuff, and we sit and just chill and relax and craft and drink IKEA coffee or Ligonberry juice. I probably said that wrong. And yeah, go from there. But we have a lot of fun, lots of laughing, lots of chatting. Just sitting there and it's very well lit is one thing I'll say about IKEA. Like, you might get sick of the food and the limited options and the walk out, but the IKEA lighting is second to none, I would say, in terms of venues for evening craft groups. So yeah, it's very positive in that regard. Okay, so yes, 21st through to the 23rd of May 2027 for the Sunshine Coast Retreat. That's exactly right. They're the dates that we're looking at. So for those of you that were undecided because you needed the dates, then you now have the dates. So you've got a little bit more information. The other extra bit of information is we will be including their basic linen pack. So so that will be part of your ticket. That got confirmed this morning. So that is easy done. And still backwards and forwarding over a few different things, few details, but keep an eye out because it is a limited tickets event. It is limited to 30 people. We don't want to make it too big. We do have a smallish seminar room that we're working in, so we don't want to make everyone too squished in. So, and everyone's got their table to work on. There will be an option if you decide you want to have half a table rather than the whole table. So if you want to share that, you can. There's no difference in the pricing for that because all the pricing is based on bedding and food, so not on your table space. So they're all things that we can throw out then, which might mean we could maybe be able to open up for an additional person or two down the track. But I really like the idea of 30. I think 30 is a good number. especially for the first one that's not our limited 15 group. So, you know, it's double. It's double. And it's also so disability friendly, it's not funny. Ramps everywhere, flat ground. Now there is even like parking right next to the door. It's fantastic. I'm a bit over the moon about it. Anyway, that's not what today's live stream is about. Today's live stream is about mindless projects that just aren't as mindless as you were hoping they would be, because they actually required mind, and then you stuffed it up. Yeah, that would be me. That would be me. So good morning to everybody jumping in. Let me just run through the chat. We've got Claire listening while she's walking the dog, and Charlie says hi. Hi, Charlie. Leanne says the number 1 channel member is in the house. That's so funny. And the number 2, Leanne, and the number 2. Teresa is here. Bianca has made it. Molly is here. Knitspin Girls Creations has joined us. Leslie has made it. That's awesome. Christina is here. Kelly the mod is here. Everyone's jumping in. It's so good to see you all. That's right, Leanne. IKEA at Logan in Queensland tonight at 6 p.m. for the face-to-face craft. So, and Leanne says that May is my birthday month, so that's awesome too. Yeah, it's a big month. There's a lot happening in May. So yeah, so we've got those dates, and that's a tentative booking at the moment. I've still got to finalize some things. So, and that came through like literally half an hour before the stream. So I still haven't responded to anything in that email. I had a pile of questions. They seem to have answered them all. Not answering them all in the way I wanted them answered, but they are all answered. So that's something, right? Okay, so you guys remember last week when you guys all helped me choose a pattern, the Meadow Lane, which was supposed to be a super easy, basic project, mindless. Mindless was the word that we were looking for, mindless. And you would think knit 4, purl 4, knit 4, purl 4. You would think that would be doable, but apparently not. Apparently the answer is no. No, that's not the case. So after some discussion, and I felt like a big whiny baby, I have put stitch markers every 4 stitches. Why? Because apparently I can't count to 4. Let me know in the chat if you can count to 4. Turns out I can't. So I've got like these little spots here where I sort of bodged it up a little bit. I was thinking, you know, I could pull it back, but at the end of the day, this is just going to be a blanket on the couch that it will just get used until it's dead, like our usual couch blankets. The dog sleeps on them. We sleep on them. So look here, we've got another little foobar there. I mean, I could drop the stitches back and fix it, but do I want to? No, I don't. Not for this. And it's right on the edge, so chances are I'm not going to see it. And it is just a use up of shame yarn and get it out of the way kind of project. So could we do a wood for the newest channel member, Shanta? We could probably check out who that is. Let me just have a look here. That's actually a great idea, Leanne. A wood for the newest. I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to see who the newest is easily. I could probably do it if I'd like dug through and worked out, you know, when different people joined. In the earn area, like, bear with me. I am just having a quick look to see if I can sort this out. Channel members. Current level, last update, joined. I'm going to be honest. It looks like our last channel member joined 9 months ago. GMA_KD. I don't know who that is. And I didn't know that they joined. Now we've got lots of people rejoining over time. So sometimes the credit cards and what have you, they mess things around. So the latest rejoin we actually have is Chintamani, and It says 0 days ago, so probably today, maybe. Um, but yeah, so because sometimes if you've got to upgrade your card or anything like that, then that counts as a rejoin apparently. From what I can see, and I could be wrong, but from what I can see, it's GMA_KD. So welcome to the ad skippers. And yeah, that was actually a great suggestion. That was a great suggestion, Leanne. Let me just jump back out of there. Alrighty. Game Widows in with the wood. Good to see you. Let me have a look here. Game Widows is taking the win on my karma. I don't know if I actually intentionally did anything to upset your tablet weaving, but it did work. Holly says that she can't count to 4 in knitting. If she wants a mindless project, I had a project like that and even put stitch markers where I need to switch from knit to purl and back and still made mistakes. Look, I've now had 3 successful rows, but there is an area somewhere that I realized I had bodged it up from the start, and so I'm trying to reshape it, and I don't know if it's working. I just don't know. I think this was it here because there was like a little, I bodged it there, and I think that was the spot. There was actually a stitch marker missing. I must have dropped it at some stage. I think we're good. All right, so in my cup today, I have some tea, which may be too hot. Let me just see, because I made it and then put the lid on it, and it's probably going to burn my face off. Are we ready for burning face off tea? Look, it's quite hot. But it's good. I might leave it. No, I'm not going to leave its lid open because it's hot, but it's not. It's a little bit too hot. When you can feel it going all the way down. It's a little on the warm side, but I'll take it. It's a bit cool here today. No, it's not a design. These ones aren't design elements. They're just mistakes. They're just really obvious mistakes. It's fine. And you know what? Sometimes it's just okay to make a mistake. Really, I think we have to remember that we are making things for us, like especially if it's stuff for ourselves. Now it's a bit different if you are selling a product to somebody. You really need to go back and frog that out and get those mistakes out there because you're charging a premium price for a bespoke product. But when you're kind of just throwing something together for yourself at home, for me, it's like, does it have to be perfect? No. Is my house perfect? No. Is anybody except for me going to notice it? Probably Abby, who'll just pick it out and point at it like every time she looks at the blanket. Look at all these mistakes. Just for the laughs is what she'll do it for. What are you doing? Look. Hang on. I have to just rescue my daughter out of her giant puffy jacket that she does not need. So while it's up, you need to get your hand inside. Yes. You need to get your hand inside and fold all your fabric back and then zip it down.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Fabric.
And not necessary today. You do not need that. You just.
No, I was just trying some stuff on.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So we fixed Abby. Abby's all good now. She's okay. There we go. It is a good jacket. Alrighty, let's have a look here. No one is going to be looking as close to see the issue as you are struggling to find it. Okay, maybe except for Abby. It really bothers me if somebody inspects your projects for mistakes. So yes, I do know somebody like this. I think we all know somebody like this. I think in our lives, there's always somebody who's looking for our mistakes to point them out to us. And it comes down to how do we respond to it. Me, not so well. Just to make that clear. Depends on what the mistakes are about, obviously. But when it comes to our craft, especially for things for us, for our home, and this is a scrappy project, right? It's allowed to be scrappy. It's allowed to be. And So for those people that are in our lives that just pick on all the things, like those people, those other crafters who come in and look at your work just to pick it apart, they're not your friend, and friends don't do that. Unless you literally hand something to a friend and say, I've made a mistake and I can't work out where it is, and then you've asked them to find the mistake, that's a friend. Somebody who just go, like, you've completed something that you're proud of and then you showing it off to have it like, look what I made. And they're like, oh, well, this is wrong and that's wrong. And look at this mistake here. Did you leave that in there intentionally? Did you know this was here? Those people aren't your friends. They're just not. They're just not. And obviously, it always comes down to tone. Somebody might be being cheeky. Somebody might be having a bit of a lark. But if they're saying it in seriousness with a serious voice and they mean it, they're not your friend. Like, just to put that out there. Not all crafters are our friends. Let's just get that right out the gate. Like, we might have something in common with them. We might have yarn crafting in common with them. We have a common element. Doesn't mean that we are friends. So I think that's a really important thing to remember. And do you know what the other thing is? You don't have to be. You don't have to be friends with everybody just because they're a knitter. I learned a long time ago. I used to accept friend requests from lots of crafters on Facebook because I was like, oh, crafter, that's exciting. And then I realized that that was just a bad idea, because just because we have craft in common doesn't mean we have anything else in common. So, and sometimes craft is enough, but sometimes it's not enough. Oh, Leanne just found a long lost hook in her amigurumi stuffing. Like, as in the bag of stuffing, or as in a project that you stuffed already? Like, just out of curiosity. I'm just curious now. So, yeah, I think I'm assuming the bag of stuffing, but we never know. You never know. Okay, I'm like, what am I doing here now? What did I just do? I just did knits, so I'm on to the pearls. So, because it's just 4 knits and 4 pearls all the way across, ending with 4 knits. And somehow, I make that difficult. And it's just like, I've got to get through 2 balls of this blue, and I haven't even like put a dent in the middle yet. I'm like, oh man. Mind you, do I really want a dent in the middle yet? I've only got an inch of blanket. So yeah, one thing I am waiting for is, look, I love these carbons. I love them. I think they're awesome. But what I really want, and I probably should have just done it straight up, and I don't know why I didn't, because what size are these? These are 4.5s. Oh my gosh! Wait a second. No, I'm waiting. So I was like, oh, I want to do it on my quads, but I don't have the 4.5 in quads yet. I've got a 325, I've got a 3, a 375, and a 4. The 4.5 is on its way, but it's not here yet. Game Winner says, I respected you so much that it took a long time for me to actually hit the friend request button. It's one of those things, isn't it? It's really interesting how different people think of things. And I appreciate that, Game Widows. Leanne said it was the bag of stuffing. Oh, that's good. That's good to know. And thank you for the clarification. Yeah. Let me just keep going here. What are you all working on, and what have you got in your cups? Like, so I've got my tea, and I'm working on my, what is this project called again? Something, the Meadow Lane blanket. Meadow Lane. Debs is here. Hey, I'm helping Megan start a quilt today, so we're watching on the big screen. That's awesome. And hi, Megan. I've did I show you guys the squares? The squares of shame? I have squares of shame. I started doing some test squares for Abby's blanket that I'm making for her. She went and picked out all the fabrics, and so it's really like stuff that she loves, which I'm really super happy about, being able to make her something that she really wants. She's picked the square. It is my first like quilt, like proper quilt. I've done a table runner, um, and that's about it when it comes to the quilting stuff. So yeah, it's definitely it's been a learning curve for me. Dolores has a smoothie. What kind of smoothie, Dolores? We need details. We need the details. And working on a boucle blanket. Oh, that sounds lovely too. I love that idea of boucle blanket. Abby, did you want a boucle blanket? No, I don't know if she heard me. She was just sort of walking off as I was talking, so she may not have heard me. Um, Bianca is procrastinating on weaving in my millions of ends on my top and trying to decide my next project. Ah, I see. Yes, so it's procrastination. So yes, but that top's done then, right? Like once you've woven in those ends and you've given it a washy wash, it's all done. Leanne says, I'm making the cottontail and whiskers dragon scarf. Well, that's awesome. Oh no. The game widow says, currently frowning at the kettle. And my family forgot to buy tea bags last night, and this may not end well. Do you not have emergency tea bags in the back of the cup? I got emergency tea bags, man. Knitspin Girl says, I'm packing bags and deciding which projects to take with me for a family get together in Gin. Awesome. That sounds like fun. How long are you away for? Because you need a project for every day you're away. That's how I work it out. It's really, like, doesn't matter how big the project is. You need a project every day you're away because your mood might change and you might want to do something different. And then also a fresh holiday cast on. So if you're away for 3 days, you need 4 projects. Dolores says a protein smoothie with chocolate, hazelnut, and banana. That sounds lovely. That sounds lovely. As not add. Hang on a second. Game with us may not end well. I don't know what we're talking about. Did you guys want to see my quilting squares? Like, I know this is not a quilting place, but we are multi-craftual here. And I did 3 squares and they're 3 varying levels. So it's not like a ton, it's just 3. I'm just like, do I even have them handy? I think I do. Let me just check to see if I've even got them handy. Hang on a second. I've got a cookie here for Abby. If Abby wants a cookie. Abby, do you want a cookie? I don't know what I've done. I think I know where the squares are. Bear with me while I just run out and quickly have a quick look. And I'll throw a cookie at Abby on my way past. I'm just double checking they're not here somewhere. I moved a pile of stuff around so that I could have my table because it was covered in sewing stuff. So, you know, you can't have it covered in sewing stuff when you're going to be live streaming. You can look at the vinyl I bought to make bags out of while I run out to the lounge room and grab the squares. Okay, I found them. They were on the dining table when I didn't know why. But this is some beautiful faux leather vinyl that I get from a place called Beautiful Faux Leather Vinyl. They're here in Brisbane, and she custom prints it so you can get the piece as big or as small as you want it. So I've got this one here, which I know it's a teal kitty, but that sassy face reminds me of Macy, so I had to get that one. But yeah, so I got those ones to make some bags out of. And I also got some just very, just some solid vinyl in like a teal and a purple, just to make the rest of the bag. So just sort of you cut that out and then you stitch it on. And I don't know what I'm going to do with these little cats. I don't really understand what the purpose of them is. There's probably a particular craft or something that people use. So yeah. But I don't know. I don't know what that is. Alrighty. Let's have a look at Chantel's squares, which is the first one. That was the first one. So this was my first one. They're a bit crunchy. They were in my handbag. They were all ironed nice and flat, okay? So this was my first square. So obviously, you know, there's some bits to learn. Some not quite lining up seams. Like the seam is there and then it's there. And not terrible for a first go, but also not what I was hoping. So then I decided I'll have, because each square required 3 colors, so I'd cut out 3 lots of fabric. So then I grabbed square number 2, which is heaps better. I like pointed seams better. I like there's still a little, I have to hunt for it. That's how close it is. And so you know, so much happier, right? There's just a little bit out there, not even barely worth noticing. I know exactly what I did wrong there as well. So that, one of the points just needed to come out just a little bit more, but that's that one. And then I was looking at the pattern and I'm thinking, this just seems off to me. There seems to be something wrong. Like I was just sort of looking at it and I'm like, this just doesn't seem wrong. And what it is these were the shapes I cut out, but it was supposed to be sawtooth. I was mispiecing it. So it's actually not supposed to be a diamond. It's supposed to be a star. So, miracle of miracles, when you actually put it how it's supposed to be and it works better. Like, wow. Mic drop on that one. Now, again, not so perfect, but so good for a first actual try. This was my first try at a sawtooth. So I'm really happy with this as a first try, to the point where I think I'm ready to actually start, because this isn't Abby's fabric. This was just some scrap I had in my stash. So I'm actually ready to start cutting. I think I'm ready to start cutting. Like, you know, there's this one seam here is out. The rest are all fine. That they all point up except for this one just here. And I know what I did. I messed up this particular piece, and so it came in a little. So, you know, I know what I need to do to fix that. So that's my first adventures into a quilt. And I believe the pattern has 48 of these squares, and I think they're about 9-inch squares. 8.5, 9-inch squares. So by the time it's all like, you know, stitched into each other, I think they come down to be about 8-inch squares. So yeah, that's where we're at. That's my quilting adventures for the week. No further bag making adventures this week, although I've been looking at patterns because I haven't found a pattern that I want to use my new pretties for. So Knitspin Girl says it's 2 full days of travel and 3 full days with family. I'm probably going to end up with at least 6 projects. So much fun, so much yarn. Good thing I'm driving. Oh, okay. So if you're driving, you don't have to count the travel day projects if you don't want to. It's your call entirely. But you don't have to count travel day projects if you're the driver, because you can't knit while you're driving. But it does sound good. Oh, Leanne, look, I'm super happy. It was a total learning adventure, and it's what it was meant to be. Like, I was supposed to learn how to do the thing, and I did. I learned that it's really important to look at the pictures, not just follow the instructions. And so I learned a thing. The thing was I need to be very looking at everything very carefully when I'm piecing. And now that I know what I did, and it was literally a case of adding in something that was upside down. So just, consciously making sure that I don't do that over and over again, a million times. See, this is where the problem is. Hang on a second. I purled. Sorry, I knitted. Then I purled, and now I've got to purl again. Or do I need to knit? So it's knits, purls, knits, purls, and that should be a knit. So I'm going to knit it. And it's going to have, because I knew I had one more spot that I still had to fix up. So there we go. And then that's supposed to be purled. Okay, so that should be, while it'll be a bit janky up till this point, it'll be fine after it. I hope. I hope is the thing. I hope. Oh, it's going to be a good trip because it's for fun. That's good. Seam rippers are my friend. The amount of times I've put fabric in upside down is embarrassing. That's what happened. I actually joined the fabric incorrectly. So when I opened it out, instead of right sides facing for both, I had wrong side for one and right side for the other. But unfortunately, I'd already trimmed it before I went to press it out. And so then I had to sort of unpick it and then move it to the other side. And it just, didn't quite sit properly. I should have just got another piece of fabric. I should have just cut myself out a fresh square and gone again. But I didn't. Oh, I'm missing a stitch marker again. What colour do I need? Green. Yes, I figured it was a mount. I did. Alrighty, I'm going to have another sip of this very warm tea. I do love, right, that we can talk about all the crafts. That while, we're predominantly knit and crochet, that that we can actually, like, I can show you my other crafts, and then I don't get the whole, this is a knitting channel, I don't want to see anything but knitting on the knitting channel. And I love that we don't have that attitude here, because we're allowed to have multiple crafts. Now, what I will say, from a YouTuber perspective, it should be just one. It should be knit or crochet or spinning, or, you know what I mean? Like, it should just be the one. It from a YouTube, perspective. But it's not who I am. And I therefore need to accept what the downsides of me going ham on all the crafts means. And so I do. I accept it. I don't complain. I don't complain about it a lot. And I found you guys who are multi-craft jewels. So maybe I need to just put that in the banner somewhere, like multi-craft jewel. Multi-crafters, welcome. I don't know. We all know that multi-crafters are welcome, right? Holly says that she's casting on a new project, and I measured out the perfect length of yarn so that there is no waste. I love it when I get it right. Do you know what? Which also, that's awesome. Like, let's just go with that for a second. First of all, awesome, because that doesn't always happen. And I'm looking for a paddle here. I'm searching through because we want this one. There we go. and this one here, and this one here as well, and this one here too. There we go. Because like you don't always win. But what I will say is I've started doing something. I've started doing something, and I did it for this project actually. See how you notice there's actually two tails at the start? And that's because I did a long tail cast on 2 balls of yarn. So I didn't have to measure out the yarn at all. And so, because it was like, I don't know, 11 billion stitches, right? And I didn't want to measure that. So I got 2 balls of yarn and did the long tail cast on that way. You can do it from the beginning and the end of a ball as well if your project is a 1 ball project. But yeah, I find that that's a lot easier for me than when we don't win at that particular yarn chicken and you've got to rip out your cast on and try again. Like, I don't know how many times there have been projects where I've had to try casting on 3 or 4 times just to end up with enough yarn for the cast on. So since I've moved over to this method where I just get the beginning of where I just use 2 ends of yarn, I get the better end of the bargain on that one. What am I up to here? That's we need to pearl. Okay. See, look at that. I still can't keep track. I've got stitch markers, but I still can't keep track. Luckily, I can read it. I can look at it, the previous stitch and work it out. But if that previous stitch was the wrong one, then I just exponentially make it worse. Bianca's like, what do you mean? I'm outraged. You know how I feel about sewing. Did I use the right tone then when I was reading your comment? Now I know I grabbed just a random stitch marker because I dropped one. It was I probably picked up the one I'd lost before. Knitspin Girl says the tail is too long. I've wasted yarn. Must do it again. Yeah, if the tail's way too long, like this was like the limit, but that was where my knot was, to be honest. I could have put the knot like down here, but I don't know why I made the knot up there. I just did, but I can always trim that back and not have too much waste. But you can just snip it, but it's a waste of yarn then. You better just throw it in the bin. Like, that's going to be not long enough to use for anything else. So, and especially if you're concerned about if you have enough yarn for a project, you'll look at that extra long tail and you'll be like, was that the difference? Oops, get back on there. Was that the difference between me being able to cast off or not? So yeah, so do you know what I'm talking about when I say I just used the ends of 2 different balls? Like, I could probably show you if that's what you want. Oops, hang on a second. Up to knits. I've got plenty of yarn around. I can show you what I mean. Tim's working from home today, so it's all professionalism here all the time. I'm not complaining about you working from home. I'm talking about your level of professionalism. Okay. Man, I cannot wait until I get my my quad tips. I think it's gonna make a difference. Have you ever like bought needles and then you just like never use any of your other needles again? Like, I've got a feeling that's what it's gonna be like when I get going with the quad tips. Abby shutting the door. I'm being too loud for everybody else. What I might do is I might just show you how to do it anyway, because I think I might need to have it to do it as a little video for later. So what I'll do is I'll just grab, there we go, just move this aside. I'm just going to reach over for some yarn. Where's some yarn? Where's a ball of yarn I can use for this? I just happen to have some yarn here. I do want it to be contrasting colours, just so you can see. Okay, so we've got these contrasting colours. Now, you would not do it in contrasting colours, okay? You would do it in the same yarn that you're going to do your cast on row in, but I just want to show you what it looks like in contrasting colours so that you can see what's going on. I need some long DPNs. Fake straights. Fake straights. Because you really just need one for this. 8. Alrighty. So if you got to do like a long tail cast on, and you're measuring it out, you're like, okay, you need like 1 meter for 100 stitches, you know, which is where I generally start for a DK with about a 4mm tip, and that's usually where I start with. But then you get to the end of it and you've run out of yarn, and you've got this ridiculously long tail. And either of those options is bad in my case. I know you can just cut that tail off and make it the right length, but then you've got this bit of wasted yarn. And if meterage is an issue, then meterage is an issue. Okay, so let's have a look at an option, which is you make your tail, your acceptable tail length, whatever that is, whatever your acceptable tail length is, and you join 2 balls of yarn or the beginning and end of the same ball of yarn. Okay, so when you're going to do your long tail cast on, I've just got to grab the ends here and snug this up. There we go. So when you're going to do your long tail cast on, you just make your loop here. So you've done your slip knot, one from the back and one from the front, and then you just do your long tail cast on however many stitches you need. Right? And then when it comes time to work the next row, just drop the yarn you don't need and just knit with the one. Now I tend to wait until I'm a few stitches past, and then I will cut off another tail that's long enough to weave in. Okay, so then yes, you've got a little bit of extra weaving in to do, but then you've not had to worry at all about how much yarn you needed for that long tail. You could just keep going till, you know, you've done 100 stitches and you don't have to think about it. It's just a really good way to do a long tail cast on, to get that nice stretchy long tail cast on without having to worry about anything. Now, I didn't invent this at all. I saw it somewhere and just went, that's cool, and started doing it. I probably saw it in a few different places for me to actually go, oh, that's not a fluke. Now, when you get back and you're knitting the stitches, when you get back, you're going to have this one here that looks like it's like 2 loops. I just knit through it like I'm knitting 2 together. Just it's 1 stitch. That's just the 1 stitch. And so I just work through that. And so, yeah, it's just a really great way to still get a good long tail cast on without having to worry about getting the right length of yarn. Was that clear enough? Like, did that help? Let me know in the chat. I can do it again if need be. But that's what I do now. So because I happen to have 2 balls of this, I did it with 2 balls. But if you've only got the one, you just find the beginning and find the end and just do it there. What am I doing here? I am knitting a 4th time, and now I'm purling 4 times. Kelly says, I like the idea, but don't love having to weave in extra ends. Yeah, look, I get that. I do. I understand it. Also, like if you usually have too much yarn, is it so much that it's more than what what the extra end that you've got to leave off to weave in? Is it like a ton more? Like, you've got to work out what works for you, but it's just an option for you to think about and give it a try. Hey Leslie, thank you for that. That's great to do if you have to cast on a lot of stitches. Agreed. I don't do it if I've only got to cast on a few stitches. I'll work out the length-ish, because I am not going to be weaving in multiple ends if I only need to cast on, like, say, under 50 stitches. But if I've got to cast on like 100, 200, 300 stitches, I'm not gonna do that. So, you know, but for like a short amount, I'm up for it. Like I'll risk the math of like working out how much yarn. I know lots of people have their different ways of working out. Some people go in and wrap the needle however many times and then add a bit. Some people like for me, I've kind of got a rough idea that if I'm using 8-ply yarn and 4 mil needles, and if I save about a meter of yarn, that's about 100 stitches. But it's not always. It depends on the yarn, and that's where I get annoyed. Um, oh yeah, Game Widow says I do the wrap around the needle as many times as the cast on number plus a little bit more. Yep. For me, I'm like, that's extra work. You got to do all those wrappings. Like, I'm like, I may as well just do this and weave it. Like for me, weaving in one end is less work than wrapping a few hundred stitches. So yeah. But yeah, I get it. Like it just may not be your jam. It might not be what you want to do, and that's totally fine. It's just another option. But I definitely did it on this one because I needed something mindless where I didn't have to think or plan or do anything crazy, and it worked a treat. Um, I have, oh, Kelly's working with the quads for a little bit. I think I'll have a quad in my right hand, but the circle in my left, threading through the stitches, I think is easier against the circle needle. Yeah, I think it's totally gonna be individual. I personally, taking the stitch off, I slide it forward a little bit. But yeah, and Kelly, this is absolutely it. The benefit of having different tips is you can mix and match them to suit you. Absolutely. But yeah, so I tend to work off the very tippity, which on the quads is round anyway. I think. Let me just. I could be lying. Let me just check. The tippity I think is round. Yes, it is. So I'm working off a round part of the quads anyway. So I think it's just a difference in how we knit. Let me just grab. I'm just looking for the biggest quad so I can show you. Oh, you guys have got the spinning wheel of doom. Stream's down on my end as well. I don't know what's happened here. Stream health. No data. What has happened? Hang on. Oh, you can't hear me anyway. The internet's just dropped out, you guys. Is the internet coming back up? Do you know? Oh no, I've got internet again. Here we go. Everyone's blaming Tim. Tim's hogging the bandwidth. The chat just came back with everyone blaming Tim. That's so funny. Yeah, we don't know what happened. All of us went down here just briefly. So let me know if you can hear me, if you can see me back up again. It looks like I'm good. Yeah, I did. I seem to be back up on my end. So let me know if in the chat if you can see, if you can hear. But what I was doing is I was grabbing these quads. Now these are 4 mil. So obviously it's going to be, there's going to be a difference here because these are 4.5. So these are thicker. But because of how I work off my knitting, I tend to slide right down to the tips anyway, which is round. Yeah, am I back up and running? So you might need, if some of you can see me and some of you can't, you might need to refresh. Leslie has me back. Excellent. Thank you, Leslie. Okay, so yeah, so what I was trying to do before the internet crashed here, because it just went down. All of us lost our internet briefly. It was our internet. It wasn't anything else. Um, so you've got the tips, right, of these needles here, and the quads are squarey, right? But then the tip of the quad is actually round. So because I actually do all my knitting off my tips, it might just be it might just be oh let me just see, I've got an error. Can everyone see and hear? Leanne says that she's lost volume. Our volume is fine for Josephine. Okay, so that's good. So yeah, I think it's going to come down to how different people knit, how different people use their tools. And I loved what you said about the advantage of having multiple sets means that you can just customize it however suits you best. And I love that. I love that because it's like we know, like some people are like, no, I only ever use this one length tip, blah blah blah, which means so if they're only 5-inch tip users, it means that they can't do a circular beanie without actually having to magic loop it. They don't have that option of just going round and round and round. They actually have to magic loop, which may not be a bad thing or a good thing. Molly says she's got no sound, so if somebody can let her know just to refresh, because the rest of you have sound. So yeah, I'm just going to keep knitting here. Oh, and yeah, yes, just double checking where I'm at. But yeah, so it's just one of these things where we all do things slightly differently, and it'll match some knitters better than other knitters. Like there's some knitters that just really don't vibe with interchangeables. And there's some knitters that really are like, I only use straight needles because I do this particular style of knitting. And so this is one of the amazing things about just having so many options for our tools, that we can just do mix and match and use it or not use it, or whatever it is that we want to do. So yeah, I just think it's awesome that we've got so much choice now. I remember back in the day, like you could get what you could get at Kmart and Big W, and maybe, like, I'm just trying to think, like, I didn't where I lived, there was a fabric store, but it was sewing only. There was no knitting needles or crochet hooks or anything like that in there at all. But yeah, so in my formative crafting years, there was no access outside of Kmart, because we didn't even, like, there was Big W's, but they weren't local to me, so I didn't have access to a Big W at all. So what I could get at Kmart was all I could get in the 90s. And because the area I lived in, there was no yarn store as far as I could tell. Oh, and what you could get at, like, what was it called? Crazy Clark's. There was a Crazy Clark's. I think it was a Crazy Clark's back then. Might have had a different name, but it definitely rebranded to Crazy Clark's. So like a $2 shop. So not much, not much. It was like, I don't even know what the brands were. But yeah, whereas now, so much choice. Do you like bamboo? Do you like wood? What color do you like your wood? Do you like your wood to have a metal tip? Do you like carbon fiber? Because these are carbon fiber. Do you like carbon fiber with a metal tip? Do you like just stainless steel? Do you like your metal nickel plated or surgical grade stainless steel? What kind of cable do you like? Do you even want a cable? Do you want DPNs? Do you like a 4-inch, 5-inch, 6-inch, or 8-inch DPN? Like, there's just so much choice now. Oh, it says I've got no data streaming again. So I'm very sorry if I'm swirling all over the place again. I'm not sure what's going on here. Oh, no. It's just a warning. It's not no data. It's just a warning. Okay. No, I've still got internet. It's good. It's what happened is my stream warnings I got a fresh good warning, and so it was just like it didn't like it. Now I do just want to. There we go. I need a screenshot to report something to Ecamm because they're just not sending enough data for this kind of stream. So we did the 4K stream test and we got it to work, but I don't want to stream in 4K all the time, right? But I would be happy to do 2K or even 1080p, excuse me, but I can't get either of those to work without a warning or an error because the software doesn't send enough data through to YouTube. So, and I don't like getting errors. Like I've got a good signal rather than excellent. I like excellent, please. Excellent is my goal. Good's doable. Excellent's my goal. Molly had to reboot the stream. There you go. Yeah, sometimes that happens, Molly. Different people have different things happen. Like Leanne had the sound go out for a bit, but then it came back. Other people it just came back for. It just depends. Sometimes it depends on the device you're watching on as well. But I think we're all back. Is everybody back? Let me just look here. Yeah, it looks like everyone's back. Most people are back. Oh, look, I can just see where the stream dipped down and we lost a pile of viewers. There's a big, like, in the graph. Let's have a look here. We are knitting. So, let me know, like, were you a person that only ever used the one kind of needles because that's what they were around, or have you always had options? Like, let me know in the chat. And even if you are a person who still uses the same needles, like why is that? Why have you, like, are you just content, or they're perfectly fine, or I don't know. Like I'm so curious about why people do and don't buy things because I have a few different types of needle tips. I would like to say that it has reasons other than the fact that they're shiny and I wanted them. The reality is it's probably just that. But I do find that different needle tips work better for different different things. Like I just about never use metal when I'm knitting silk. I just find it slips just a bit too much and I tend to lose a lot more stitches. So I tend to go with the beautiful Chow-Gu bamboo, which is still slippy, but it is not it's not, you know, so slippy as the stainless steel or the brush steel. Are we all still here? Now I'm paranoid. If the chat's not chatting, I'm paranoid. Like, have I dropped the signal? Like, it still says I've got a good signal. So we'll see. Am I just talking to myself on the internet because the internet is broken? Because I often wonder, like, the whole, the people, I've been doing this for 60 years and I've never blocked, and I've been doing this for 60 years and I've never needed stitch markers, and like, it's like, that's cool, but like, just because you haven't needed them, I mean, I think actually everybody blocks, but some people don't realize they're blocking. Like, seriously, did you wash your project before you gifted it and laid it out flat so the stitches were nice? You blocked it. It's just now you know what it's called. Kelly says, I'm always looking forward to upgrading my tools, that they bring me so much more enjoyment. Yeah, I find that some tools just really help. They just make life effortless. And so why not? It's like the difference between, woodworking with hand tools versus power tools. There are some things that you absolutely do want to do by hand, but there's some things that you're just like, where is my circular saw with this particular angle graded in at this particular depth so I can just go, Kelly says, also I can afford to upgrade, and so she is lucky. Yeah, that is an issue. That is an absolutely legit issue. Not everybody can afford to change their tools or change their mind on their tools. Holly says that I started with bamboo needles because that's what was sold in the stores, but I switched to metal along the way. Yeah. Bianca says that I've used the same ChowGoo fixed circulars since I started using them. I buy more when I need them. I don't actually own any sets. There you go. And Bianca says, in fact, that's how she met Chantel. That's right. And it was another yarn store that sent you to me because I had what they didn't and you needed it. And it turned out that we actually live really close to each other. It's Been Girl says I started with plastic needles, tried wood, bamboo, decided I really like metal, and then someone showed me ChowGoos and completely ruined me for anything else. What an awful person. Oh, Game Widows was organising a tea delivery. Yay! This sounds like my journey. Yeah. Oh, I love this, Leslie. My 89-year-old great auntie thinks that I'm a bit witchy when she sees me using circular needles. Oh my gosh. And It's Been Girl says I've spent a small fortune on needles, but I can justify it because I use them every day. Also, you do knit for work, so they are a tool of your trade. Leanne says I can only talk on the crochet hooks as I don't knit, but I have a few different hooks, but I do favour my Clover Soft Touch. We're talking knitting needles here right now, but you're 100% right. How many different, seriously, let's just have a look in my caddy. Whoops, I just about lost everything. Come here, little caddy. So these are the tools that I use all the time with my crochet, right? So just in my caddy alone, I've got Poopy Golds. I actually found another one in another project. So now I have 2 Poopy Golds. I've got a 3 and a 4. I have Clover Soft Touch. I have Tulip Reds. I have my standard Tulip Golds. I also have my very special... I see how I put little protectors on their top. That's where the extra llama is. I might switch this one out so the llamas can be together. Why are you on that end? Oh, that's right, because I was stealing it. We would like a cupcake to go with the little cat bat. So I'm protecting the cabling because I was using them as short Tunisians, so I stuck a little thing on the end. But these are my very special tips from Match made these. So I've got 2 of those. They're very special to me, so they go in here into the silicone as well for protection. I also have my dotty hooks, which I absolutely love. I think if you keep an eye out on a sale for knit picks, you can pick up an entire set of dotty hooks. So from I think it's 2 mil off the top of my head. I think it's about 2 mil up to about 6 mil. And you can pick it up so inexpensively. And these are solid. These are great. Now, obviously, it's going to depend on the style of crochet that you're doing because it's different length throats. But for an inexpensive hook, they are awesome. But yeah, just in here. And then I also have, I've got a furls, which it's kind of just there to remind me how much I don't like furls, really. I am I crochet like this, right? So I am what's called a knife holder. No, a pen holder. No, yeah, a pen holder. So when I'm crocheting, let me just get a normal hook. Here we go. When I'm crocheting, I crochet like this, right? So because I am a pen holder, so it's like when you're writing, right? That's why it's called pen holding. Because I crochet like this, when I use a furls, all the weight is in the back. And it is annoying and it's not balanced right. But if you're an overhand crocheter, these are beautiful. They fit in your hand beautifully. They sit very nicely, but that's not how I crochet. I crochet like this. So it reminds me not to buy anymore. That's why that one's there. But then I've also got just some Prim gunmetals, which I love, which sometimes you just need a nice long straight hook and they're useful for that. And then I also have these Prims with the plastic handles. These are not my favorites, so I kind of just haven't moved them on. I've tested them. They're fine. The actual hook themselves is lovely. I don't like the handle. So, we all have different things. I do want to try the Prim ergonomics. Why have you got a hat? what is your hat? Oh, that's actually just it's actually just holding the topper of something else for me. So thanks. It looks like a little army hat. There we go. So that's my collection of everyday use hooks plus the Prim handles. And it's look how many different brands was that? We've got Prim, Knit Picks, Match, which are custom made hooks, Clover, two different types of clover, two different types of tulips. Like, it's just there's so many choices, and again, different hooks for different tasks. It's because like the reason we go with the match hooks is they have a beautiful pointy tip, which is just exactly what you need when you're doing Tunisian crochet, right? It is exactly what you need. So these sort of rounded heads, they'll do it, but not to the same ease. You can get them to work, but not to the same level of ease. So, you know, you can get away with one thing. However, is it the best idea? I'll put that back over in its proper spot later. Get in there, you. Find a spot there, big fat hook. There we go. So yeah, different hooks and things for different projects. So, oh, well, oh, you belong there. Right. I stopped right in the middle of right at the end rather than doing an extra. I try to do an extra stitch just so I don't drop my stitch markers, but I didn't this time because I'm a numpty. And I just want to throw stitch markers all over the floor and lose them in the vacuum cleaner. Even stitch markers. We all have our own personal preferences. Some people hate stitch markers with a passion. Some people think that anyone who uses a stitch marker is a numpty. Whatever. For a start, whatever. If you think that, you're probably not in the right group. You're probably not in the right chat. Because whatever tools help you to get the task done, totally allowed. It's not like the stitch markers can knit for you, but I tell you what, when I need a mindless project, I need to go, oh, what have I got to do next? Move the stitch marker and then go, oh, purling. Okay. And I'm super chuffed if you don't have that happen, if you never have a project time where your brain's not working. I'm super chuffed that doesn't happen to you, and I'm really glad, because you'd be screwed if you're like anti-stitch marker and your brain's not working. Like, oh, well, I have to read my knitting. I can't use a stitch marker. I need to just be proper and read my knitting. And if you use a stitch marker, then you're not doing it properly. Cool. Like, you do you. Game Widow says, still don't like the feel of furls. Not for me. Yeah, they're not the same. They're not for everybody. They're just not, and they don't want to be either. They're not trying to be. Holly says that she crochets a pencil grip and still uses the furls. Yeah, see, like, it's just me. I don't like them for the pencil grip because the balance is wrong for me. So yeah, she goes, I also have handmade wooden hooks. I have one very special handmade hook that a woodworking YouTube channel made for me, and he gave it to me the next time he saw me, and it was so exciting. And it's actually tucked away because I really don't want to break it because it's beautiful. I probably should just use it. He'd probably be ticked if he found out I was like cherishing it rather than using it. Yeah, whatevs. Holly says, I lose stitch markers all the time. Not my fancy stitch markers, but the light bulb ones. I lose fancy ones. I lose cheap ones. I lose them all. And then I find them all like in my chair or under my chair. I tend to like just every now and again just go for a search. Like I've been, where is it? I know, I've got to put away. But I had a problem where I lost all of my Wiggly Sheep clover stitch markers. All of them. I couldn't find a single one. I knew that there was a pile in one particular project, and it worked out there was about 20 in that particular project. So I was like, okay, so I know where 20 are. But I had like 60 or 80 of these things. I've slowly found probably another 20 or 30 of them. Just randomly in chairs, in project bags that don't have projects in them, like they were just in the bottom of the bag, like a stitch marker here and there. I found a little cache of them in one of my Gamer Widows humbugs. So that was a cool find. So yes. Um, there's a wormhole somewhere that has all the stitch markers, the good scissors, and the hair ties. Yep. Yep. It's probably also, oh yeah, someone's gone not to mention the socks. Yes, it's also got single socks. Clover sheepy stitch markers are my favorites again for crochet. They're my favorites. Like for lockable stitch markers, they're my hands down favorite. I do love my blinglets for knitting just because they're so light and they keep out of the way. But if I need to measure like distance or something like that and I need a lockable, I'm looking for the Clover quick locks, which are the, so if you're looking for what they're actually called, they're called Clover quick lock stitch markers, and they come in 3 different sizes. Or 3 different pack sizes, I should say. No, it is. It's small, mediums, and larges, but each size comes in 2 colors. That's what it is. And I like the mediums, which are the pinks and the blues. I will take the smalls if need be, and I do have a packet of the large around somewhere because the large are handy every now and again. But yeah, it's one of those things. Oh yeah, tape measures and darning needles, absolutely, they go as well. Absolutely, everything that you need. What you need right now. It's like there's a room of requirement, except whatever you want ends up in it and you don't. It's like the opposite. The opposite of the room of requirement. It's like you require this, ha ha ha, you can't find it. And I realized today, or was it, or might have been last night or this morning, that today is 2 years since I started my job at Creatus. So I'm like super chuffed about that as well. So that's a totally random thing, but it's in my brain. And like I was just sort of thinking about, like, you know, we think about the journey that our craft takes us, right? We start a project. I don't know about you, but quite often I learn something either about myself or about the project while I'm doing it. And so, you know, I have these sorts of thoughts as I'm like, well, like when I was learning those quilting blocks, you could actually see the progression between the first block, the second block, and then the correct block. And it's the same for yarn crafting and knitting and spinning and crocheting and all of the things. And so it's one of these things where we can look back on our progress, and sometimes you can see that progress in one item. And so every now and again I look back on and look at the, like, where my job has taken me. So where I started versus where I am now. And over 2 years, it's just been insane. It's been so totally different what I'm doing now than what I was hired for. Are 2 totally different things. And I'm loving it. I think it's fantastic because it just means that, like our yarn crafting and like all of our other crafting, we can just continue to grow. There are no limits. Beanie Drawers, good to see you, man. Welcome. Beanie Drawers, Dinosaurs. I love Beanie's channel. It's so fun. Spendigo update from the Gamer Widows. She has cut out, I have 6 cutout bag sets to go. So many bags. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Spendigo, aka Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show, that runs, is it the 2nd weekend of July, 3rd weekend of July? Anyway, it's coming up very soon. Gamer Widows will be able to drop in the dates. And it is down at the Bendigo Sheep, the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show is down at the Bendigo Showgrounds in Victoria. It is, if you're a yarn crafter in Australia, it's basically the place. It's the place to go. It is just jam-packed full of indie dyers, people who are making things for crafters. So like Game Widow, she does stitch markers and project bags. And other little useful tools like stitch holders and support spindle bags and like a pile of different amazing things, but specifically for us. Like, she's a yarn crafter, so it's specifically for us. And so many of the stalls at the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show is for us. Like, how many of you have been to, like, you know, Craft Alive or Quilt and Craft Show to get there to find like one single yarn craft stall or 2 single stalls out of the hundreds of stalls? This is for us. Um, Beanie Drawer says, I opened up YouTube to do something else, but saw your live was up, so wanted to pop in and say hi. Well, I appreciate that very much, Beanie. Thank you. So yeah, so it's definitely the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show is definitely the place to go if you want to go and check something out in Australia. Now it is starting to get some serious competition. So in Queensland we had nothing. It was like these craft shows, or if a spinning group had an open day, that was pretty much it. We had Jumpers and Jazz, which sometimes would have a bit of a stall, but not much. But now we have the big Mullany event that's happening this weekend, which is a huge event in Queensland. And then we also have Yarn Fest. What have we got here? Someone sent something through to me. Is it related to this? No, it's Abby. Oh my gosh. Abby has just sent me a photo. Abby now wants sheep, apparently. That's hilarious. They're like, aren't they cute? So yeah, it's definitely one of those things. Beanie says I like the craft section of the Melbourne show. I've only been to one of the Melbourne shows, but it was very quilting based, but that was also many, many years ago. And whereas the Queensland shows, you tend to get mostly fabric and sewing. And so we don't get much in the way of yarn craft. But I don't look for other crafts. So I'm a yarn craft or a sewing girly. So I can't speak to the other stuff. So I'm glad you're finding stuff that you like, Beanie, because it's super important that we can find new things and see what they're doing and check them out. And I love that you're finding that where you are. So that's very cool. But yeah, so we've actually over the last couple of years, like over the last 2 or 3 years, we've gotten a lot more events up here in Queensland, which I'm just absolutely mind boggled at. So after the Fiberific retreat that we have in August, the weekend after that is a yarn event. Oh, I did. Look at this. I knitted it when I should have pearled it. Go me, frogging it back, frogging back the stitches. There we go. Let's try purling. Let's try purling the pearl stitches, or the stitches that need to be purled, like something new, something different. Then we knit the next bunch of stitches. That's right. We knit those ones, and then we purl the next ones, because it's not going to change. The whole project is knit for, purl for, like an entire blanket. So yes, Game Widows dropped in the dates for the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show, which is the 17th to the 19th of July at the Bendigo Showgrounds. Game Widows has her stand in one of the sheds. You'll find her on the map. They do have a map for stall holders, so you can check that out. Oh, you were going to ask how I'm so good at keeping the pattern and the conversation? Not really, not. Just not. Sometimes I am. It depends. I've made crocheted entire blankets that had very tricky stitch patterns. I've got my iPad here with a stitch graph. Sometimes perfectly fine, but my brain's been a bit melty the last few weeks, and so this is a very mindless project that's using up some shame yarn and some stash overflow yarn, and it's going to be just a big couch blanket. And it was supposed to be a super mindless pattern, but it turns out I can't knit to 4. Yeah. Like when I need a mindless pattern, I can't knit to 4. Hence, I've got I don't know if you can see them. Can you see all the little rings? They're called stitch markers. So it's supposed to tell me to stop and think every 4 stitches, but sometimes I just slip it without stopping and thinking. Yeah. I got no answers for you, Beanie. Got nothing. Got nothing. So these are my quads. So these are my latest excitement. I'm very happy with the quads. You really like the transition between the lighter and the darker blue. Oh, look, this yarn is gorgeous. So it's just a really inexpensive acrylic, and it'll actually keep transitioning into sort of super pale blue into like a brighter blue, and then to a darker blue. I think it's called Arctic or something like that. Very nice. It's just a really basic, inexpensive yarn that I keep around because it's not horrible to use. Where am I up to now? I am purling. Purling the stitches. Purling these 4 stitches. If I can make the purling work. Slip that marker, and then we're on to knitting. Knitting some stitches. And then I'm going to mess it up. Then, because I talked about it. I'm in this small shed closest to the big gates. It's the best shed. See, look, we're not going to get into the best shed stuff. We're just not. Because we have differing opinions. For me, the flower shed is the best shed. Especially when I was there. For me, that is. Like, not necessarily for other people. But the flower shed was the best shed. Because all my friends were in there. All my regular stallholder buddies. So that's a personal preference as to which is the best sheds. So yeah. Purling. Yeah, so this is gonna be quite a decent length. I'm aiming for around 1 meter wide. And then we're just gonna keep going with the yarn until we run out. So hopefully nearly 2 meters long. That's my ideal couch blanket. I like to be like narrower than a single bed. But nice and long because I like to sit on the couch with my feet out on a footstool and my toes be covered and pull the blanket right up to my chin. That's what I like. And because I'm making it myself, I get to choose what I want to have. Ruth Young is in the house. Ruth Young is here. It's good to see you, Ruth. Thanks for jumping in. Ooh, is there drama around sheds in the crafting community? I think it's rivalry within the Bendigo Sheep and Wool Show sheds community. I think that's all it is. What am I doing here? I'm doing pearls. Yeah, bring on the rivalry. Just a bit of fun. Just a bit of fun. Good to see you, Ruth. It's been a hot minute. Purling. Yes, just double checking. I'm like, wait, didn't I just purl? No, I purled 4 stitches ago. Oh, Knitspin Girl says that the flower shed isn't as good anymore without you and Charlie. Oh, so I haven't been in quite a few years. So, yeah, I really should just go down to visit, right? I should just go down to the Sheep and Wool Show for fun. I should do that one day. Not this year, but I should do that. The game winner says, my floor is wood. It's not concrete. And my wall becomes a heater in the sun. The people in my shed are awesome. Look, yes, I will say that the flower shed is freaking freezing. I'm not going to lie. It's this big tin shed in the middle of a paddock in Bendigo in July, right? It's got a paver floor. It is glacial. And it doesn't warm up much through the day because the way that the sun came, there was all the trees from the school that blocked the sun from actually hitting the shed. All right, okay. The flower shed's not the warmest shed. I can't deny it. But it was great. It was a great shed. Ruth says, I want a she shed, but waiting to buy a house first. It makes it a bit easier, but right now trying to recover from hand surgery. Yeah. I hope your hand surgery did what it needed to do and that you do get full recovery and full use. Beanie says, I love the wholesomeness of shed rivalry. I mean, there's some rivalry in the yarn crafting world. Like, let's not beat around the bush here. There is some rivalry. How many years ago have we talked about a road trip to Bendigo? Like, since I met you, probably. Because I just haven't done it. I haven't done the road trip down there since I stopped having the regular stall down there. It's a really big trip, and you got to really like the people that you're with. Oh yes, I did have easier bathroom access, but only to the bathroom that got the wet floor. Like it was not the great bathroom. Um, so yeah, I miss having my shack. Speaking of sheds in the yard, I miss having the Fibrific shack a lot. Being able to sort of separate all this and have it out of my house was really nice. There are different benefits. Like so, when I'm working, because this is my where I sit to work as well. If I'm doing a live stream modding or something in the middle of the night, um, it's nice not to have to log off and then walk out of the cold and then back into the house kind of thing. It's nice just to step out of this room and go into my bedroom kind of thing. The downside is that if I'm a bit loud or, if I'm a guest on a live stream or something at that time of the night, Abby's bedroom is like through that wall, and so she gets annoyed. So there are definite perks to having the separate space, and I definitely miss it. And I'd like to custom build something that would just be awesome for it. Because it would serve a different purpose now. Like before, it had the shelves and shelves of physical stock that I had my packing table, all that sort of stuff was in there. Don't need any of that. So I would make a dedicated crafting sewing space as well as my working space. And then this could actually be a guest bedroom again. So wouldn't that be novel? Sips tea, but that's none of my business. Oh, you're right. Yeah, the damp floor is definitely better than the wonky portaloos. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And look at that. What have I done here? Hang on a second. So that was... I've janked something up twice. I've got to tink back. So let me just unknit these. Tink, 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 tink. Slip the marker. Are you correct? So they look right. They do not look right. So you remember how I was saying there was a spot where the it seems like the order changed? I think this is it. I think I'm in it now, which is why. Because I did go from knits to pearls. But, or did I? Hang on a second. Let me just try something. Did I pearl when I should have? That was knitting. That's correct. So pearl, no, that's not correct. That also needs knitting. I think I've screwed this one up. I think I might need to put some sort of double marker on it just so that I switch backwards and forwards on it, because I think I need to... Oh no, it was a purled stitch and it needs knitting. So yeah, so I've knit, then I've got to knit again. All right, and then it's purl. Okay, so I'm going to put a marker on here so that I know that this is like janky. Purl. Let me just find something to use. If I was a different kind of stitch marker. There we go. Squiggly sheeps, just like we were talking about. Let's have a little squiggly sheep for this job. Do you want blue or pink? We should go with pink so it stands out. Now, so your knit. So here on this one, it needs to be a double up. So I've just put the squiggly sheep stitch marker through the other stitch marker. So, we'll see. Oh, Ruth says that I missed this night because I have to work on Wednesday nights. I'm sorry to hear that. You certainly, you don't miss much. Just me messing up projects all the time, it seems, lately. I'm like, how did I even mess this up? Like, seriously, how did I even mess this up? Oops, just throw a stitch marker. See, that's a purl, then a knit, and I've just done a purl. I'm so tempted just to, do you know what? I'm gonna do something. In a logic, great to see you. I'm going to tink back this row, not the whole row, just this section where these bodgies are done. I'm actually going to drop stitches and fix them because they weren't always janked up. So there's a couple that were janked up at the start, which I've remedied, but these I've messed up somewhere along the way before I started adding all the stitch markers in. Okay, so let me have a look here. So that's a purl. Purl, 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 knit. So I've janked it all the way back over here. Look at this. Look at me being talented and skillful. Oops, dropped a stitch. Hang on. Pick it back up. That's one thing I'll say that this yarn's not great at is picking up stitches. Oh, you've got a well-traveled steak. Nice. I don't think I've had New Zealand beef since I was in New Zealand last. We really only get Australian beef here. All right, let me have a look here. So that's purl, purl, purl. So that one could be fixed by just doing the right stitch. What have I done here? Can't see the stitch to pick it up. Alrighty, so let's have a look here. So that's a purl and a purl. Knit, purl. That should be a knit. And yeah, even the back telling me that should have been a knit. Oh yeah, if you're enjoying this, you can become a channel member to be tortured by me even more when I'm messing up projects. Oh man. All right, so that was a purl. So let's knit this one. So that should fix this up. So just actually doing the proper stitches. So let me have a look here. Yes, that's correct. Now I've knitted those. And I purl this. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Let me just double check it. Yep, the back is good. Then I knit this. Okay, so that is correct. Let me just take this little stitch marker off. Then knit that. So we're supposed to purl this. So what I think is this row was janked up on a previous row, so it needs to be fixed. So that should have been a knit stitch on that row. Let me just try and fix that. Oops, don't drop the stitches, Chantal. Okay. So that's right. Okay, so let's go in and do that for these 4 stitches. They need to be previous row knitted, not purled. Sorry, guys. I just got to concentrate for just a little second. I'm not great at picking up, like dropping stitches and picking them back up again. It's not my strong suit. Okay, so it's 1, 2, 3, and then one more. Especially when the yarn color's changing from row to row, it does just make it a little bit trickier. Okay, so they have been dropped from the previous row of purl when they should have been knitted. Yeah, one of the other Aussie channel I watch is a guy from a cattle station who goes around hunting camels. And Mark from Self-Sufficient Me. And the guy who melts all the metal. Okay, so let me see. That was... So I need to purl this row because I knitted the previous row. Purl, 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 and purl. Okay. Then so that's all sitting correctly. And then here it should have been purled when it was knitted. So I need to drop those. And then purl that instead. Of knitting it. They're fixing it. They're fixing it, hopefully. Hopefully this fixing it of this section means I won't have to fix it again. Maybe. If we're lucky. Till next time. Front. Okay, and this is just a bit fiddly, right? Okay, then we transfer those back. They were purled and now they get knitted. And then this gets purled. I think we're good. I think we fixed up the offending stitches. I think we're good to go. Maybe. Don't, quote me on that. I think we're going to make it to the end. I think it's going to be right. Oh my gosh, what do we do? What do we do when it's all good? I don't even know. I don't even know. Do we have some sort of celebration? Like, I fixed it. Maybe. I'm I'm trying to temper myself. I've got to get to the end of the row first. I'm nearly at the end. I'm not quite at the end. Mark from Self-Sufficient Me, he's the one who goes, let's get into it. All right? That's what you're talking about? Because I watch his channel. I watch that channel. That's a good channel. He's actually not too far from me. Knitting. And then purling. Boom. Boom. I made it. I think I fixed up that section that I botched the row beforehand. So that's super cool. What am I making? Ruth, I'm making it's a throw blanket for my couch. And it is the Meadow Lane project. The link is in the description. Um, so it's just knit 4, purl 4, which apparently I can't do in this mental age of my brain not functioning. So root for perimenopause. Thanks for that, for doing that to me. But what we did, like, if you catch last week's live, so if you watch that replay, we went through and I had some yarn in I've got a bag of shame. There's this big bag of, anyway, I pile of yarn in that I wanted to use up, and then I needed more yarn because there wasn't enough meterage to do anything. So I had a few balls of this crypto in my overflow storage area. So another area that I'm trying to get the yarn out of. So combine them together. They're both shades of blue. That's what we're doing. We're making a blanket. So hopefully it'll look good, and it'll use up stash, and it'll keep us warm probably next winter. Maybe. I've been known to take a while on blankets. I don't know which other gardening guy you're talking about. There's probably multiple gardening channels in Australia. That's the end. Okay, so let's see if now that I've fixed that, if we can get one more row in correctly. You know, like, we'll see. Let's not count our chickens before they're hatched. Logic says the mobile app keeps putting ads up over the chat. I'm very sorry about that. I have the option of ads or no ads. Unfortunately, I don't have the option to control the ads on the mobile chat in any shape, fashion, or form. That YouTube just puts them in. And I'll be honest, the more you chat in the chat, they actually start reducing down the number of ads. But I think it's got to be a crazy amount of chatting. Like, I don't think we, in our small band of merry men, could actually do enough chatting to reduce the number of ads. It's a thing that YouTube have put into place so that if a chat is super active, you don't lose the flow and you get less ads over the chat. I don't know. They haven't told us because, people gamify stuff. So, they try to trick the system so they get what they want. But yeah, apparently if the chat's just very active, it reduces the number of ads that block the chat. So, yeah. John says, "Oh, I never chat on the phone, so I don't know." Yeah, I don't know exactly at what point that happens, but yeah, there's unfortunately there is no way for me, like, if I want to have ads on, because you guys know how I like to have the pre-roll ad and the end roll ad. They're the ads I actually like to have for our live streams. For me to have those, it also will do that, which I'm very sorry about, but I need to keep some ads on, right? Interesting. I haven't had a single ad today on my phone. Looks for the wood to touch. Yeah, good point. It obviously also depends on the kind of account you've got. Like, if you have a YouTube Premium account, you're not going to get ads at all. So yeah, I use YouTube Premium for viewing because I don't want ads. But I also understand that channel owners need ads. Game Winners has had a few pop up. Yep. And also YouTube works out what each individual person's ad tolerance is. So it's a viewer level thing. So just because Gamer Widows gets an ad doesn't mean that Inner Logic won't get an ad. So it depends on the individual's viewing as well and what their viewing habits are. Holly says, I've been getting a few amount of ads, but it's just the way it is nowadays. Yeah, we just don't get to control it. That's what it boils down to. We just don't get to. It's either on or off. There are choices when it comes to live streams. And unfortunately, it does seem to impact mobile viewers more than, say, viewers on television and viewers on desktop, like laptops and things like that. So unfortunately, the mobile viewers cop the brunt of that one. Because I don't actually insert any ads into my live streams. So, yeah. Dear YouTube. Yeah, look, or just give us the controls back, honestly. Just give us the controls. Like, I just want an ad play at the start and an ad play at the end. I don't want to have my chat harassed all the way through the stream. And that's exactly how I see it. I see it as you being harassed. But I don't have that option to do that anymore. I used to. But YouTube took that option away. They're a big bunch of butt faces. They're not butt faces, but sometimes what benefits one tier of creators does not benefit any other tier of creator. I try not to moan too hard about the ads and stuff just because, like, I know how much it costs to host video. Like, I get free hosting and I know how much video hosting costs. And if I wanted to run like a live webinar that wasn't on YouTube, that was on its own platform, I'm talking big bucks for that as well. So I see like what YouTube give us for free, or in essence for free, with some ads. And I'm just like, I try not to complain too hard about it, honestly, but it does get a bit frustrating when I don't get to have the control. I'm in the YPP. I should be able to control when my audience get ads and how those ads are delivered. Leanne says, I just set up 2 devices so they don't bother me. I just click out of them and let them go watch my laptop. Are you ready for a nap? Got a big belly full of steak and potatoes. That sounds delicious. I got U-Foods for lunch today. Pearl, now I'm on to knitting. Now I'm on to purling. Yeah, I think John's going to have to explain the O'Brien potatoes. I have no idea what that means. I just figured it was a particular way of cooking the potatoes. Alrighty, we're coming around to where that nightmare spot was, so let's see if we are able to get through it without a furphy. We'll see. Can everyone please hold your breath for me? Cross your fingers, all that kind of stuff. think I'm in the middle of it because it was like I can see where the rows beforehand were botched up. O'Brien potatoes are fried or roast diced potatoes with red and green bell peppers and onions. That sounds amazing. I would definitely try that. Yeah. If someone said, "Hey, do you want to try these O'Brien potatoes?" I would be like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problems. I'll eat your fried goodness with delicious things added into it." Drizzle some oil, some salt, some pepper. See, you're just adding extra flavor, more flavors to the potatoes. Cross the potatoes? No. Now I've got potato in my mouth's watering and I've got potatoes in the brain. Knitting that last stitch, Chantel. Pick it up and scooch it over. My glasses are just not being my friend. There we go. Okay. We made it. We made it to the end of the row. And you can just see just a little bit of like undulation in the pattern. I think it's actually going to be really nice. Like you can see a little mistake there, a little mistake there. If we just keep looking, we'll find more mistakes. There's another mistake. And then when you flip it over, you get to see the mistakes all over again, like mistake. But yeah, I really like the simplicity of the pattern, except my brain's not being my friend, right? Like, and that happens, right? That's just how it is. Sometimes your brain is just not your friend, and you've got to add things in to help you. Now, I don't want to stop knitting or crocheting or sewing or any of the other things just because I'm having a bad brain week or month, it seems. So I'm adding in stitch markers to help me. So you just need to work out what it is that's not working, right? And work out the alternatives to what you could do. Now, I felt really stupid, honestly. Like, I'm not going to lie. I felt really stupid sticking stitch markers in every 4 stitches. I felt like a total numpty. But it was either that or not knit, because all my other projects are more complex. And sure, I could probably go and find something even more easy, even more basic, or just switch over to crochet, which I'm going to be doing as well anyway, because sometimes you just need to keep crafting, to keep your hands moving, but your brain is not there. It's not keeping up. Now, mods, does one of you have the link handy for the expressions of interest form for the Fiberific retreat on the Sunshine Coast? Because we do now have, like, I know it still says, tentative dates May or June. We have a date in mind, which is the weekend of the 21st to the 23rd of May for 2027. We have a price in mind, which is around that $500 mark. That will include accommodation and food and a crafting area for the weekend. Thank you, Kelly. So please, if you are interested and you think you might be able to come, go and fill in your expression of interest form, because what's going to happen is once I lock in everything, I need to move a bit quickly. Okay, so while the retreat's not till next year, anybody who goes to our regular Fiberific retreats knows that they sell out very quickly. So what's going to happen is the first people that are going to be given all the information and the link to the page where they can go in and book their spot will be the people on that list. They will be the first people who get to, for first refusal, basically. And so you will need to make your decision quickly. It will sell out. Well, I believe it will sell out based on the number of people who are on the list. It will sell out. And so you need to be prepared to make your decision. Now, so if you're thinking, oh, that's so far away, why are we even talking about it? We sell out of our August retreat in the previous August. So we're already in July. So I've got a feeling that our July tickets will be, not our July tickets, our May tickets for next year's May retreat on the Sunshine Coast. I honestly don't think that we're not going to sell out. I think that if you really do want to come, you need to be prepared to jump. Now, I'm working on the back end while I'm backwards and forwardsing with how to, like, the venue for locking everything in. I'm also working out how to set up my website so that you guys can just go straight in and just book your ticket there. But I'm trying to set it up so that you've got the option to either just pay for your ticket in full and not have to think about it anymore, or make do the deposit and then we'll send out installment invoices. So I'm actually in the process of literally setting that up now while I'm also going through there. Will it be a deposit first, Chantel, and what will that be? The deposit? Yes. So either paying in full or a deposit will hold your spot equally. So those people that pay in full, they don't get a higher rating, if that makes any sense. So if you pay in full or pay a deposit, you book your seat. That's your spot, okay? So, and the deposit will be $100. The retreat will be around the $500 mark. I'm trying to get it to $500, but it might end up being just a smidgy dash over. Like, it could possibly end up being about $525, $530, that sort of mark. But I'm working on some bits and bobs on my end to try and keep it at that $500 mark. But I'm not going to know for certain. So it may be 500 or it might be just a little bit over, which is one of the things I'm sorting out. So please just, when you see the price, that's what the price is. It's a more modern venue. It is a much nicer setup for those, for accommodation wise. Well, I wouldn't say much. It's a different setup. Leonie looks after us really well. Our beds are beautifully made with loads of blankets and big piles of pillows and towels and all sorts of bits and pieces that we need. Whereas at this particular venue, you'll need to bring your own blanket. You'll need to bring a pillow. The pillows they supply are pathetic. So there's a difference. However, at Leonie's, we have to leave the warmth of our little room to go to the toilet block. Here, each room has its own ensuite. So there is, one of those things. So yeah, it's one of those things where you get to decide. And then going forward, we're going to try and keep running both retreats, because ultimately it'll come down to interest. Do people want both? And then we'll work that out going forward, what we're going to do that way. But for 2027, there will be both retreats running. There'll be the May retreat on the Sunshine Coast, and then there will be the August retreat up in the mountains at Trigoni. So you will get to choose both or one. But the August retreat usually does sell out at the August retreat, because how we have it set up right now is that those that attend can decide if they're going to book back in and pay the deposit to the venue on site. So it's different. It's a bit different. And going forward, we'll be trying to tweak and change that a little bit as well. So I'm pretty excited that we're going to have 2 retreats next year for Fiberific. It's going to be the same sort of vibe. It is basically you bring your craft along to do You'll be supplied a space to do your craft. You'll have your meals cooked by somebody else and you won't have to think about it. You'll have your 2-person cabin with your own ensuite, and you just wander around and do whatever. It's a little short walk over to the beach. It's a little bit longer than I thought it was, but it's still a relatively short walk, and it's all on paths and what have you. So, you know, it's a comfortable walk to the beach, if you want to even do that. However, the May retreat will not have entry until 2 p.m. on the Friday afternoon. So one starts earlier than the other. So there are differences. There's absolute differences. Anyway, I'm very excited. I got to keep going, and I've actually got to reply to some emails, and I will chat to you all back here next week, same bat time, same bat station, and hopefully we'll have a bit more firmed up retreat news. Fingers crossed. Okay. All right. I'll see you all next time. Bye now.